Hello everybody, this is the Gamer Guy here with Kerbal Space Program version 0.22. Today I'm going to be showing you an aircraft that I have designed that flies successfully, and I have yet to be able to land it successfully because it is gigantic. It looks just like a plane. Named it the Goliath-V1. Be prepared, it is fucking huge. I'm sure there are bigger out there, but this actually is a pretty sturdy, stable aircraft. So this is it. I have these two front thrusters, which are the most powerful jet engines you can use, or I should say air intake engines that you can use. I had to use these engines because I literally could not produce enough lift or speed to get this aircraft off the ground. That isn't even a joke. I tried everything, RCA thrusters, and as you can see I have like a bajillion under there, but it just didn't work. So for main propulsion engines, I have the smaller Sabre engines. The Type S engine produces 215 pounds of thrust times 4 on each wing, and then I have the Sabre M engine, which produces 860, I guess, pounds of thrust or tons of thrust. I'm not sure how that's measured. I believe it's tons. I have two in the rear that are fed off of two rather large fuel tanks in a flipped over bomber bay. As you can see, the doors are open and you shut those before takeoff. I also have the Sabre Type M engines on the front, like I mentioned earlier, on Rotatortrons, which is in the Damned Robotics mod pack. All the parts you see here are mostly from B9 and Fire Spitter, I believe, which comes with B9. But as you can see, the aircraft is actually rather large. It's not as big as I was going to make it, because the bigger I made it, the more insanely difficult it was to reinforce and actually get off the ground. So I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate flight. Okay, so here we are ready for takeoff. We are on the runway here, and we have our front thrusters ready to go, and I'm just going to go ahead and rotate them in a downward fashion but at a forward angle, so that way they're still propelling the vehicle forward. And we're going to go ahead and kick on our thrusters here. And we're going to go to half throttle, which should be plenty to get it just moving down the runway. We'll turn the brakes off. And as we go down the runway, we're going to be holding the S key to increase the elevation. Turn on your RCA thrusters, and this might be a little bit wobbly of a takeoff, but I think we've got it. It's difficult, but now we can go to full throttle here and get the real effect. So I can zoom out a little here just to give you some retrospect to how big this craft is. It's pretty damn big. I've seen bigger, but this thing is actually fairly stable, and it runs very well for what is on here for parts. There's 280 parts, I think, on this craft, maybe between 260 and 280. But for as many parts that are on here, this thing is extremely sturdy. I reinforced the hell out of it with struts, but you can hardly tell I have done so. So it's actually fairly maneuverable. It's just a behemoth, so sometimes you gotta aim the engines down to bring the nose back up, and then you can literally use the D and A keys to turn the vehicle, because the thrusters themselves have the capabilities of actually turning. So It actually helps quite a bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to get out far enough here. I know it's a little choppy as far as the video quality goes, but I'm going to go ahead and basically spin around and try to land this. Now, I don't land it traditionally by touching it down with the wheels and using air brakes, because literally the air brakes do jack shit, and this thing is so fucking heavy that when I do land it, it just falls apart. So in most cases I have to really time the landing just right, and I have to get it to the point where I can actually trying to see how much fuel I have left here. Still got full tanks. These engines are very efficient as long as you have the coolers on them, the air intakes. I think they're called intake coolers. I can't remember. But what you want to do is, yeah, I got some fuel left. I turn towards this island here. And as you approach this island, you'll actually see right over here to the right, above the right-hand wing, that there's actually a launching facility there and a landing strip. But I'm not going to be landing there. I'm going to be banking right and then going towards port and spinning all the way around, heading back towards the airport. And we don't have to be at full thrust for this. We're traveling at about 184 knots, something like that. And it'll stay around between 160 and 185. This thing is that huge where it just does not travel that fast. I'm sure the drag is incredible too in this vehicle, but I think I've done a pretty remarkable job of reinforcing it and making it look still aesthetically pleasing. I'm very happy with this design. It looks very upgradable for sure. There's a lot of things I can definitely do to upgrade it. But I mean, the coolest thing on here I think is where I decided to store the fuel tanks in the bomber bay here, as you can see as I'm opening it. This is very basic. I don't have any tools on here or anything like that. No, it's not ready for space. I actually plan on making this space ready. I'm going to put probably big orange fuel tanks on the left hand and right hand side of the top wings, and I'm probably going to send this sucker into space with some space gear on, and I'll detach the wings and we'll see what we can do with that. I'm going to go ahead and turn. And this will spin extremely fast. It's wicked hard to turn without flipping it. So I'm trying to do it real gradually. As I said before, the turns are going to be real wide. We're just going to line this up with the launch pad that we just took off from, which is way back there. I'm just going to keep turning. You can turn your thrusters in the front to turn faster, which is definitely working. And then you can... What is this thing doing? Come on. There we go. It takes a little adjusting, and this thing's lagging a little because of the recording software, but that's quite alright. I'm not dissatisfied with it. Let's go ahead and correct our nose here. Let's correct our horizontal plane. So right now we're at about 1,500 and climbing meters. You can even reduce your thrust to about a half to a 3/4 if you want. Try to get this thing leveled out. It's such a pain in the ass because it's so big. But right now that's looking pretty level. I gotta go over to the left a little bit more. And that's pretty good right there. We'll just go ahead and give it a good turn. Try to line it up with the runway. It's not gonna be easy lining this up with the runway because I haven't been able to do it yet. But we're gonna try. I know this is painstakingly long, but if you've tuned in this long, I appreciate it. And I'm going to be making many more craft like this in the future, tutorials. I also have an entire video of me building this craft that I think I'll be compiling in high speed and posting on YouTube as well, just to prove that I did build this. I have the entire recorded clip, so we're going to begin to turn our craft just a little at a time here. Let's get the plane, horizontal and vertical plane, perfectly even here. Let's bring the nose up. As you can see, we're having some issues straightening the vehicle out. We're at about 500 meters. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my gear. I've never landed this successfully, so I'm off just a little bit. I'm gonna reduce my throttle just a little bit more. Straighten out. We've lost a little bit of a horizontal plane. Imagine what Boeing 727, 37, and 47 pilots have to deal with landing at a runway with an aircraft about this size, you know? I can only imagine what those guys have to go through landing a craft of this magnitude. I think I might actually line up with it very well. If not, I'll crash and burn you guys to get a good laugh. But either way, I've made an attempt to land this, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop our nose. Get our altitude down as low as I can get it without smacking the ground. Let's bring that nose up like they taught me in flight school. Always get your nose up before you hit the runway. Let's drop our throttle even more. Have much runway left, so I cannot believe I actually landed this. My parachute's failed, so go ahead and tap the brakes. We're gonna crash. This is gonna be interesting. Oh, I'm gonna lose a motor. Oh, I haven't lost anything yet. My parachute's failed for some reason. I think they ripped off. But we have successfully landed the Goliath-V1. Amazing. I didn't think I'd actually be able to land that. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel. And there will be plenty more videos where this came from. And I hope you enjoyed.